because somebody let her mic roar and she was saying the F word, at least every 4 words would be the F word, and she would say, this is retarded, that's retarded, oh, how retarded. That's why I think the word retarded is now not politically correct, because of people like the little pop princess and her ilk making something that cruel out of a condition that is nobody's fault.
Yes,
that was a tirade on Britney Spears.
Well, I was waiting to get that in.
Her usage of the word. Her usage of the word doesn't help.
Because most of the time, when we're talking about mental retardation in these killers, we're talking about people who have severe mental retardation. We're not talking about people who have mild mental retardation.
Sure.
And in my experience, and Lisa's is very different, because I'm the one that have read these 12,000 scans. They have very damaged brains, and I think to just say it doesn't matter is stupid, because it does matter. Your brain controls everything you do, how you think, how you feel, how you act, how you get along with people. And when it's damaged, your behavior is going to be damaged, your actions, your forethought, your planning is damaged. And to just say, oh, well, it doesn't matter, let's kill him, I think is not evolved. And I don't think it's New Testament thinking. I hear the Reverend talking about what is really Old Testament thinking, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. Jesus said there's a better way. There's a new way, and it talked about understanding and forgiveness. So the idea that Jesus would support the death penalty is bizarre.
Fighting words.
Did we hear Trouble in Paradise?
Words. Oh, we do
Very
indeed.
incorrect. What Jesus was correcting was the misuse of the eye for an eye, the tooth for a tooth legislation.
But,
what Jesus was
correcting
was...
Hang on a second.
Wait, Lisa.
Whoa. Wait, let John finish his thoughts, and then let's go to Daniel, then we'll go to Lisa, then Mike. And I'll just watch.
What Jesus was correcting is the misuse of the eye for an eye legislation. The legislation was simply a principle of you can only exact punishment based on the level of the infraction done against you. You can't just go pile on someone and cut their head off if they socked you in the arm. What Jesus was correcting is it being used as some type of tool of personal vengeance. But he upheld the principle, and he was not somehow doing away with what his own father implemented with Old Testament Mosaical law. But back to the issue of mental retardation. I think the invoking of that word is deliberately designed by abolitionists of the death penalty to somehow invoke the natural compassion of Americans who do not want anything unjust done to someone else, to somehow make everyone that will do something wrong be seen as somehow mentally retarded, as if they're the poor kids we might have seen in school that took the other bus home and that were in the special classes. And it's somehow the wrong invoking of sympathy to what is an otherwise very difficult issue.
Okay, now I hear Dr. Daniel Amen just choking on the phone here. Dr. Daniel, go for it.
Well,
Lisa, too. Both of you.
My thought is when your brain is abnormal, it is not an excuse in the sense that nobody gets to go home. You kill somebody, you're not going home just because you're mentally retarded. But I think to kill him just completely undermines the fact that the brain is involved in behavior, and that's what Descartes in the 16th century talked about. He separated the mind from the brain. What we now know with brain science is he was wrong. They're exactly the same thing.
Don't you agree, though, Doctor, that
killing people that are sick?
Each case has to be evaluated on its own individual merits. You just can't...
Oh, and I would agree with that totally, and I'm not saying in every instance the death penalty is wrong. We're talking about people that are mentally retarded and mentally ill, and in my mind, that's wrong.
But wait a minute. If the death penalty is either acceptable as a punishment or it's not, and what everybody here seems to be saying, except Lynn, is that it's acceptable sometimes.
Pick on me.
Which is fine.
What do you mean accept Lynn?
No.
I'm
sorry. Wait a minute. You said it's acceptable all the time.
Can I say...
Depending on what... Lisa, do you hear what he's doing? They're piling on me now.
I know.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
I think
Jeez.
the reasonable person would say that when you have anyone, regardless of normal intelligence or mental retardation, that each case has to be looked at individually and should be. When you have someone and their intellect is in question, that person has to be looked at, their capacity to understand what they did, right from wrong, and most importantly, their ability to cooperate with the legal system and participate in their own defense is what's key. More than anything else, that has to be looked at. And when my colleagues say, well, these people were severely mentally retarded, that's inaccurate. The guy that was in Texas most recently and who was mentally retarded was not severely mentally retarded. The guy was moderately mentally retarded.
So he knew what he was doing, right? He knew what he was doing.
Yes, and
that's
cooperated
the
with
case
his
they
own legal
make.
defense, which meets the test of able to cooperate with the legal system. Now, the other point I wanted to make was, many people say, well, I don't believe that the legal system is perfect. Of course it's not. It's run by men. And I think that it's
nicely
worse.
done, Lisa. I don't think. Did you mean
men
that?
and women.
Oh, okay.
Men and
I
women.
think she meant
sorry.
human beings. I didn't take it as
I'm
literal
sorry.
as she.
Right away.
Lynn's going right on.
Oh, yeah.
Lisa, yeah.
Sorry about that.
I'd rather
Sorry.
have them locked up in an 8x12 cell, stripped of everything, rather than put them to death. That is one sadistic son of a gun.
Who's that, me?
No, people that say that in general. Not
I
you,
say that.
Mr.
No, I say that.
Mike.
Yes.
He does say that.
I say that absolutely. I say
And he
that.
is a sadistic son of a gun.
Psychologically and probably sexually for the rest of their life.
Oops.
Do I want to
And
what?
that
What?
punishes
Wait a minute, Lisa.
society.
I'm sorry. Wait, hold on. Say that
It's a
again.
terrible thing to do to somebody, especially a retarded person.
Oh yeah. So you're going to mercifully.
sadistic,
So you're
dude.
going to mercifully kill them. I see, Doctor. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh,
So you're going to mercifully
absolutely.
kill them. We have people who are fighting the death penalty. And by the way, I think if you want to go out, if somebody has done a horrendous thing to you and killed somebody you love, and you have vengeance in your heart, and it's justifiable, go for it. I don't think that says I'm not making a judgment on whether you should have not killed somebody. I'm making a judgment on the system that I think, as you agreed, does not work. And because it doesn't work, I don't trust it to put people to death on my behalf or anybody else's
Okay,
behalf.
what he's saying, Lisa, is Mike does not trust the system, and on all the other subjects, neither do I. The only thing I'm saying is, if I could be sure that we have A, a vicious killer, B, whether he's retarded or whether he isn't, I want that vicious killer
Get out of
removed.
there. I know.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't.
exactly.
But what I'm saying is the problem is those people say back to me, "Oh no, we don't mind the vicious killers who are sane," and I don't think any vicious killer is sane. But if they're mentally retarded, they should be absolved from all punishment. I got a problem with that.
No, they don't get
Mike,
to go home.
Well,
None of
hey,
them
listen,
get to
I
go
didn't
home.
absolve
That's
anybody.
not the issue.
I'm the guy
issue is
that's
what you
doing this sadistic, terrible thing, according to Lisa, and putting him in jail for the rest of his life
Okay, Daniel,
in an 8x12 without amenities.
Daniel just said something. Oh, I didn't hear you, Daniel.
Yeah,
What is
Daniel,
it?
sorry.
Well, the issue is not where they get absolved from guilt. They
Right.
don't get to go home. That's not the issue. The issue we're talking about is what to do with them. Because you're mentally retarded or mentally ill, it is not an excuse. You don't get to go home. We still need to protect our society from people who do bad things. That's absolutely important. But, what we do with them is the question, I think. And many of them, at least in my experience, many of them have damaged brains that you can make better.
Okay, now let me take a quick break here because I know John has his finger up and his mouth open, which means if you can hold that pose for 4 minutes, John,
I
or
can.
3 minutes, then we're going to go right back with you. Let me remind you guys, you're listening to Second Opinion. This is KSDO, AM 1130 Talk Radio for San Diego. New York Mike is here. John Mulligan is here. On the phone, Dr. Daniel Amen, Dr. Lisa Ruth Amen, and yours truly, Lynn Harper. We will be right back.
Good, huh?
He's got your trains. What is it, a gaffer or a best
wanna
boy,
know-
whatever you call those things?
I want to know why this guy's saying that. I said, why?
Well,
Saying
after John,
rehabilitated.
then you
Why? One word. Why?
Because we promised.
No.
go.
Why is he saying that
You
they're
can ask him. Make sure
rehabilitatable?
you
Who
ask him
cares if
that.
they're rehabilitatable?
Our justice system's not focused on rehabilitation.
What?
Well, according to him
Focused on
it is.
proper punishment. Well, he's
6
wrong
months.
on
We got
this.
6
But that's all
Role
they're
that-
talking about.
Well, that's not the role of the justice system.
Well, that's what I tried to say before.
Say it again.
We're talking about crime and punishment, not crime and rehabilitation.
It's very
Yeah.
vague terminology with
Well,
bad
I can
brain, a
see.
good
I don't
brain,
agree with this, but I can see the other guy's side of it. I can see it. I don't agree with it. Which is this: you're mentally ill. Therefore, because of the result of your mental illness, you kill someone. Then someone fixes you. Therefore, you're not the same person anymore. So you shouldn't be not only not killed but punished. Hey,
Sorry,
that's what they tell
you got
me.
the same social security number.
Oh, the
End of story right there.
How in the
Most people
world do
fix
you,
themselves.
How do you reply
Most people
to
fix
a non sequitur
themselves.
like that? How in
Once
the
they feel
I
good.
thought
am
it was pretty
supposed to
sick
reply?
witness.
Yeah, you got a social
Actually,
security number.
you got the same
yeah,
social
and he
security
drives
number,
a
same
Harley.
person to
What's
me.
that got to do with anything? What is it?
Same person to me. Same person. Lynn. It didn't change people because they
Same
got a better brain.
fingerprints.
I think that the fact is, the one thing he did say about the fact that if they don't have the capacity, the mental capacity to help their defense, I mean, for crying out loud, there is not an equal defense out there for anybody. Like I said, the dream team versus, some falling asleep,
Yeah,
dribbling
he's got a point there.
attorney. I don't trust the system, and that's why I say
But that's where
death is
you're
too final.
coming from, because you know the system better than most
The
people.
system
Number
stinks.
one, if and you know that you've seen more than most people. That's the
Life
scary
imprisonment
thing.
would be too final too if someone was wrongly.
Except there's no such
There's
thing.
no,
There's no
they're
such
alive.
thing.
There's
And
always
they can
alive.
always get
They're
out.
some
Look,
type
let me
of
tell you
torture
something.
situation.
If you're a
though.
believer,
They can
if
break
you're a
out,
believer,
John.
they are innocent. They somehow have enough time in their life, if you really believe, they will prove their innocence and get out of jail. And we've seen that happen time and time again. At least we haven't put the final decision there and taken away that opportunity.
I don't think you hope for something way out in the sky that might happen. Instead, you put in the proper safeguards ahead of time to make sure our
Yeah,
legal
but that-
system
that's- it
works
can't do it.
properly.
He does not
There's
trust
too many
the system.
situations
Oh, it may
where the
not
system doesn't
make
work.
us allow
Really?
it to arrive at perfect certainty in every case. But I'll take it over any other country's justice system or any other justice system
Oh, wait a
that's ever
minute.
been.
I'm not saying that our system is any less than any place
Oh,
in the world.
it's
I think it's the best in
amazingly
the entire
fair.
world. Look, it's
been
not
on two
no,
juries.
Life is not
Fair
supposed to
jury.
be fair, and I'll tell you something about juries. Juries get humped, screwed, and tattooed all the time because you don't know when you're on a jury. A year later, it goes up to an appeals court, and your verdict gets overturned. You'll never know about it. I'll tell you something else. I had my GM on a jury, 12th man on a jury, and they were ready to hang these 3 black kids just 6 months ago. He was out for 3 weeks, man. He said, "I'm sorry, Mike." He said, I got to get these kids off. You know what? They walked 11 against 1. 3 weeks later, or however long it took him, he finally made them understand. There's no way you're going to get these guys on murder 1. Two or three of them walked, and 1 got 5 years for possession of a weapon. But you know what? This jury would have hung those kids and went home within 2 hours if that guy wasn't on the jury. I'm sorry.
Well,
The
just,
jury's
because
not.
just because there's possible flaws, though, doesn't
Well,
mean you throw out the whole system and
That's-
say,
no.
well, we can never
Wait a
say
minute.
anyone's guilty because it
I
might
didn't
be
say
said,
that.
you're, well,
He's
All I
talking
said
about
was
he
it goes
doesn't
that
trust the
direction.
system,
I don't
and,
trust the death
and, every,
penalty.
and people are
improve the
flawed.
system. You don't throw out the penalties.
No, I
because
think
you
But
don't
death
trust the
do
is,
system.
what Mike is saying is death is final. He doesn't
Right.
trust the system. That's a
The
volatile
torture,
combination.
the rest of your life is pretty final, too.
Except
Life
that-
imprisonment
except there's
and a
always a
4-8
hope of
cell.
There's always a hope. There's always a hope for tomorrow.
I
You're a
can't- I'm on
religious
your
person.
side. I can't
You're the
believe I
religious
can-
person,
why
man.
am I making
You're the
your
guy
case
that should
for
be
you?
believing every day. You wake up every day, that sun shines, you see it, you read your book, you got hope.
Then no
Somehow.
one could be convicted if there's always something out there that could exonerate
Well, let me
someone.
tell you something. There's plenty of people convicted out there who are totally innocent, and plenty of guilty people, even more, walking around just laughing at the system.
Well,
It's very
yeah,
hard to be
like
like
convicted if you're
certain
really innocent.
ex-presidents I
Baloney.
can think of,
Baloney.
Mike.
Oh, there's
Baloney.
cases of it.
There's
believe me.
more cases
I'll tell
than you
you.
believe.
Well, still, it's a disproportionate number compared to the people that actually are guilty that are
That
convicted.
disproportionate may be a percentage that may be disproportionate, but the number-wise would be astounding. And you know what?
But you're advocating this throwing out the whole system because
I
there's
didn't advocate
some
for another
injustice.
system.
Well, you'd have to.
I advocate that you do not use a death penalty unless you're dealing with a John Wayne Gacy and you know without a shadow of a doubt. And
Okay,
there
let's say
can't-
you do know without a shadow of a doubt. Let's say there's a witness. Let's say that
I don't
Ron
have a
Hebert
moral-
of Time Warner has his video camera and watches this person kill.
I don't say there's a
You want to
moral.
grab the light?
There's a moral reason not to have a death penalty. I say there's a practical reason, and that's that the system doesn't work. But I did say judiciously, if you know without a shadow of a doubt, for instance, the Oklahoma bombing guy, you know, you knew the guy did it. There was no question about his guilt. The only question was, would killing him
It's-
prevent us from
The
finding out who
argument is
really
beyond
did
a
it?
shadow of a doubt. Okay.
We've now prevented us from finding out who really did it.
All right.
I'm Marcy Mitrovich on AM 1130, KSDO Talk Radio for San Diego.
Monday the 30th. Don't miss the Pride of the South.
Yeah, and Ted Nugent. It's going to be big, baby, big. We're going to be there.
Huh?
We're going to be there. Leonard
Ted
Skinner,
Nugent.
Ted Nugent.
I'm reading a book now about a shark diver who's a friend of Ted Nugent.
Oh, is that right?
Really good.
Must be good. He's a friend of Ted Nugent's. He's the man.
We have a caller, too. Got to go to the caller. You're saved.
You don't have to scream.
What? We're going to go to the caller first.
Back in 10.
Not available in all areas. Service and materials provided by a Sears authorized contractor. License numbers available on request.
In 5.
New windows?
Stand by.
Here's now. 1-800-5991.
Mics are hot. Stand by.
On AM 1130 KSDO.
Welcome back. I'm Lynn Harper. Dr. David Priver is off today. New York Mike is with me. Also in studio, John Mulligan. And on the phones, Dr. Daniel Amen and Dr. Lisa Ruth Amen. We're talking about the death penalty with regard to the mentally ill and retarded, and that is a word that's fast becoming non-PC, but that's tough. That's the word I'm using, and that's the one. Live with it. Let me just say this, that during the 6 minutes we had a break, which was a hellaciously long break, Wayne. My Lord, we have a lot of commercials. We're also, this particular program, as many of our second opinions, is being taped for television, so if you want to know what's going on during the breaks, what you want to do is pay close attention, look at your TV guide and watch it, because I think the better show is during the breaks, sometimes I'm thinking. And I wish, Dr. Daniel and Dr. Lisa, that you were in here. We also have callers, if you want to be one of them, 1-888-440-1130, 1-888-440-1130. Let's go to Paul in Escondido. Welcome to Second Opinion, Paul.
Yeah, Lynn, I wonder if you or any of your guests are aware of this case in Arizona. I don't know if it's still...
Paul, you want to speak up a little? Or you're like in a canyon there.
Can you hear me?
Barely, but go ahead.
Oh, okay. I was wondering if you or any of your guests are familiar with a death row case.
Then we better check with him.
I'm having a hard time still hearing you. I can hear you, and I will. Paul, just repeat that case, and then we'll dump you, and then we'll talk about it.
Okay.
No offense.
The murderer went through the system, was duly convicted. He was on death row for several years, and now they're saying that I guess he went somewhat nuts or something, and then they say, no, we can't execute him because he isn't considered normal.
Okay, good enough, Paul. Thank you very much for that call. You heard what Paul said. What he's saying is there was a guy on death row, a murderer, and what Paul said, he apparently went nuts, as if he weren't nuts when he murdered, and they're saying now we can't execute him because he's nuts. So, John, I promised you first. Go ahead.
Oh, just going back to the issue of mental illness. Within our law, our current legal system understands that in order for a criminal act to be committed, there has to be the act, and there has to be the ability to form criminal intent. And in judging mental retardation, there's going to have to be a way of evaluating someone's ability to plan, to be or to do in a premeditated fashion, to commit a crime, and that just has to be looked at. If there's a case where a person could have just acted wrongly in that mentally retarded state, but it wasn't a premeditated act, it was not done viciously or on purpose, that has to be evaluated the right way. But I'm afraid too many people want to lump everyone in that case where they just didn't understand what they're doing, where there are various degrees of mental retardation where a person might quite well understand exactly what they did but act differently afterwards.
Okay, and Mike, you were saying during the break, and a couple of those things
Well,
applies.
when Dr. Amen, Daniel Amen, left off, he was talking about rehabilitation. I only had one question. That's why. I mean, okay,
right.
whatever happens in prison, I mean, okay, if they want to work with the guy, but why do I have an interest in that from the criminal justice system? I want justice. That's what my concern is as a citizen to somebody who murders
So you're
somebody.
against rehab?
No, I didn't say that. I said, why
Thought
does
you
that
said that.
impact? No, why does that impact whether or not we apply the death penalty?
Okay,
is what I
let's
said.
go to Dr. Amen Daniel.
Well, because I think it's the human thing to do. If you get somebody in prison and they're sick, their brain doesn't work properly, it's the human thing to try and get it to work right. They'll be more manageable in prison. They'll be less aggressive. They'll take less resources.
Yeah,
They'll be clearer.
I don't have any problem with that, but why would that, the fact that they may be rehabilitatable, even though they committed a heinous crime which they carefully planned and did with premeditation, et cetera,
Well,
why
that's
would
a
that
huge
prevent them?
assumption. We're not
Why,
talking about people
Why
who
would
have
that? Let me ask the question, Doc. Why would that prevent you from allowing him to be executed? That's my question. Not whether you should or shouldn't rehabilitate him. Rehabilitate on, but it shouldn't impact the death penalty question, in my opinion.
Okay, that's a fair statement. So, Daniel, what about it?
Well, the question in my mind is: are we executing people who knew right from wrong and knew what they were doing, or are we executing sick people who did not have full access, like you and I have, to that part of our brain? And we hardly ever look at their brain when we decide whether or not to kill them, and that's changing. That's what I do.
Doctor, isn't that highly subjective?
I have a book out in bookstores called Change Your Brain, Change Your Life. And in it, I open with the story of a 9-year-old who attacks a little girl on the baseball field for no reason. If he was an adult, he may have killed her. When we scanned him, we found he had a cyst the size of a golf ball occupying part of his brain, the part of his brain that's frequently implicated in violence. When we took the cyst out, his behavior went back to normal. Now, does that mean if he was an adult and he did that, we should just kill him? Hell no. We should look at what is underlying brain function.
Okay, I want to hear what from John. That's pretty
Hey,
interesting.
doctor, I'm not a psychiatrist, but I am a somewhat thinking person, and it seems somewhat simplistic to say, okay, a person has a bad brain, a good brain, or we've taken some pictures and there's something large here, something small here, and all of a sudden that explains aberrant behavior. In fact, it's always interesting, it's always aberrant behavior that gets attached to some abnormality in the brain. I never hear someone that after they commit great acts of charity will all of a sudden want to be subjected to a test. Why did their brain act so wrongly? We never question when a person does great good. It's always when they do something bad. So it calls into question the integrity of the purpose of these tests as well.
Okay, but the doctor is saying read his book. Hey, Lisa, I haven't heard from you in a few minutes. What's
Right.
doing?
Well, there's I can actually give you a couple of statistics. The most recent National Institute of Mental Health epidemiological catchment survey estimated that about 90% of people with current mental illnesses, when you study them over a year's time, are not violent. So most people with mental illnesses, regardless of the sort, are not violent. Of the 10% who may have some form of aggression or violence, they do so in the context of a psychotic episode most of the time. So if the person is not psychotic at the time that they commit an act of aggression or violence, they are no more likely, as a mentally ill person, to be violent or aggressive than the average person. So to say, in other words, all mentally ill people are at greater risk of being aggressive or violent is erroneous. Unless you're absolutely psychotic, according to most studies that are done and published, good studies, is not true.
Okay, now, Lisa, hang on, because we have about 2 minutes till break, and Mike is making such a face on him.
Yeah, what's that got to do with whether we should execute one that is violent? We're talking about one that's not only violent, but went ahead and executed somebody, and in court, it was discovered they did whatever it took to be convicted of the first-degree murder with extenuating circumstances that warranted the death penalty. So I hear what you said. It may be valid. Go ahead.
Yeah, Lisa?
Yeah, what's it got to do with the subject?
The point is that most people who commit violent crimes, violent acts, are not people who are mentally ill or have an excuse for it.
But we're talking about the aberrant one who is mentally ill. He's now on the death, or he or she is on death row.
I'm listening to both of you guys. Here, hold on a second. You know what you guys are doing? Lisa and Mike, what you're doing is you guys are talking along parallel lines. But let me ask you this. Daniel, did you just tell Lisa what she said wasn't true?
I did, yeah.
All right, let's hear from Daniel. Tell your wife.
Have non-correctable illnesses, and that's just not true. I mean, there is a huge...
Yeah, most of them are antisocial. Most of them are antisocial personality.
Are you guys in the same room? Hey, ho. Are you guys in the same room? I just want to know.
We're not in the same room.
I didn't think so.
Most of them are antisocial personality disorders. The vast majority of those are going to be repeat offenders. They're going to be repeat offenders. Rarely do you have anybody go to death row who has not been convicted of more than one crime.
Okay, on that, are you guys like in the same house? I just have to know this. I mean,
yes.
Okay, so like one of you can run in and slug the other one, right? Okay, I just want to be sure. I got to take a break.
Okay,
Gotta take a break.
Can I ask something? Is this the Mary Matlin and James Carville of psychiatrists?
So. I think this is fantastic.
They're newlyweds, Len.
You guys are really cool. Now, somebody said to me that Daniel and Lisa, you guys are newlyweds?
About 4 months, yeah.
Oh, isn't that cute? You want to give odds on the anniversary? Oh, no. Let's take a quick break. Break. When we get back, we're going to wrap this thing up. Okay, so Dr. Daniel Amen, Dr. Lisa Amen, and we have John Mulligan over there, New York Mike over here, Lynn Harper also, and we'll be right back. You can call us 888-440-1130 if you want to get in on this, and boy, I suggest you do, 888-440-1130. You're listening to Second Opinion on KSDO, AM 1130, Talk Radio for San Diego.
I did it.
Cut it all out.
That was so
I forgot my
good.
job. Lost my head for a moment. There we go.
Those guys are cool.
They like Mary Matlin and James
but I
Carville.
love it.
They just both button heads. They absolutely.
Jeez.
The first time I
thought
heard
we'd
them.
be arguing with them.
Did you hear him call us stupid earlier?
Yeah.
He said, anybody says that is stupid
Yeah.
after she said what she said. And I was starting to say something. You cut me off. But, I mean, I'm trying to say,
I want them to reach their first anniversary.
But he called us
stupid.
stupid.
They've probably been dating for 100 years.
Yeah, he called us stupid. I couldn't believe it.
Don't worry about it. She's
It's
the
great.
woman. She's the woman. She's got the, you know, the key to,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
exactly
She's
right.
got
No
the lock.
problem.
He's got the key.
Yep, yep.
Right, Doc?
She's gonna have a very unhappy
Minister?
evening
Yeah,
tonight,
you
I
know,
think,
you know.
yeah. She's gonna say, how can you do that? They're not even in the same room. So
No.
she can't make the mean face. You know the mean face? you know the face I'm talking
Maybe
about.
she has
Do you have a
one
wife, John?
all the time.
Okay, you know I'm talking about the mean face.
My wife doesn't have a mean face.
Well, Paula, no
Nope.
way. No.
Doesn't
I
have
have
a
to
mean
admit.
face.
I have the look that has stunned my son into absolute and utter silence. You know, my daughters, you know my whole family. My son in the middle of the daughters, you know, I could give him a look. He's 6'2" now. I can give him a look and it'll freeze him in right where he stands. I got that look.
Yeah.
And I think Dr. Lisa Amon has that look.
I'd hate to get between you and Britney Spears
Oh,
talking about
honey.
a look.
Yeah. Woo! Yeah, forget about it.
How
Oh
long
my
ago was
God.
that? I think I heard about that.
Oh, I heard it. I
Spears.
went to the website.
Oh, really?
I listened. No, I'm not
Audio
quoting.
clip.
I heard her say it. Every fourth word was the F word.
Well, what do you
And she
expect?
called the band retarded, the promoter retarded.
Lynn.
The point is, she has no vocabulary.
Lynn.
It's the F word, the word retarded, and a few verbs.